Before I start this Skidmark, I would like to make a special appeal. Please like, share and subscribe to this channel. I'm struggling to get traction but if you can help me, I would appreciate it. If you don't like what I'm saying, state it in the comments below. It is Monday morning, 27 June 2022. And in this Skidmark today, I'm going to try and steer clear from the Ukraine war. There is so much being published on it that we tend to miss some of the other things that is happening. To me, the current meeting of the G7 is actually very disturbing. It started off where the G7 ministers are sitting around a table, and then Boris Johnson, the bojo clown from Britain, made a comment about they should take their jackets off and shirts off and whatever. Clearly, Putin is staying rent-free in their minds, and they don't have an answer to what is happening to the collective West. They instigated the economical war with Russia, and the blowback is disastrous for the whole of Europe and America. And these guys, they don't know what to do. I cannot understand that the citizens of the West is just sitting idly by while these, I can call them nothing else but idiots, are busy ruining everybody's lives. The following meme is something that you should take note of, and that was the image that apparently triggered the absolute childish behavior of Johnson at the G7 table. But let's carry on. The next graphic that I want to show you is just to give you an overview of the things that these people that call themselves the G7, and they're all part of NATO as well, what they have done to this world that we are living in. These people are absolutely without any conscience. And what makes me very angry is that they twist every situation to fit their narrative. But if somebody else in the world do the same to them, then they have a hell of a lot to say, and many times they just start a war. I am very upset about the direction Europe is taking, not Europe, the European leaders, the EC, under the leadership of Ursula von der Crazy. They are busy destroying the lives of the people in Europe. And I cannot see and understand why the citizens are taking this nonsense. It is quite clear to me as an outsider, an observer, that the EU cannot continue. That setup is broken. And Putin has said it previously, that the EU is just a Western replication of the old USSR. And what we are seeing is that NATO is almost acting like Hitler, and the EC is the Nazi command, and the citizens, they are going to pay. They are the ones that will become the cannon fodder in this stupid war that is going on, both physical and economical. There is a few things that I want to talk about. I see Greece has suspended the visa issuance to Russians. In addition, it is reported that from June 27, 2022, the Greek consulates in Moscow, Novorossiysk and St. Petersburg will suspend their work. What on earth are you doing, Greece? I cannot understand this. These guys are committing economical suicide. It is the travel season for Europe, and they decided they're going to block Russian tourists to their country. In any case, I don't think Russian tourists want to go there. Then there is this statement from Ursula von der Leyen. G7 leaders will consider at the summit the US idea of introducing a global oil price cap for which a global coalition is needed. Ursula's arrogance has no limits. Does she really think Russia and Saudi Arabia will comply and obey? I don't know where they come from. The non-European world, the non-West world, is the major energy producers. Russia, Saudi, Iraq, Iran, Libya. But they act as if they can dictate at what price those producers must sell. I cannot understand where this arrogance comes from and where is the logic behind it. How can they imagine, and I forgot about Venezuela, how can they imagine that they can sit there at that G7 table and make a decision of what oil producers must get paid for their oil? And then here comes another burner for them. Argentina's President Alberto Fernandez officially requests membership in BRICS. He has been very outspoken against sanctions and all the insanity pushed by the West. Now the following graphic is about the G7 and about BRICS. Just look at it and think while you're looking at that image. There's a big story in that image. Then we get this crazy Bojo again, this time praising Schultz from Germany. Where 4% of gas comes from the Russian Federation. In Germany it is 40%. They face a real pressure. They have to get energy resources from other sources. They are making an effort. They make sacrifices because they see the freedom is worth it. What an idiot! I'm going to do a skidmark about Bojo. That man is completely out of depth. I don't understand why the British people is still tolerating him. Listen, look at this stupid remark he makes. Germany is going to die without gas. German industry is going to be wiped out. What is going to happen to the citizens of Germany? And then there's this one. This is more of a side remark. The US spends $118 billion a year to police its own people and $800 billion a year to police the world. Then they has the audacity to lecture other countries about democracy. Waging war against the world and against its own people makes the US a fascist police state, not a democracy. The US better take note. The world is changing and they are, it seems to me, they are blind. Then we get that other joker, Liz Truss. Food should never be used as a weapon of war. Now, she says that her ancestors came to my country and killed almost 80,000 women and children. That they locked up in concentration camps and those women and children died from hunger. They went around the country and they burned all the farms and killed all the livestock. She must shut her trap about using food as a weapon. The British are known for that. The West has imposed economic sanctions on Iran, Venezuela, Cuba, Syria, etc. to starve them into submission. Who is using food as a weapon of war again? I'm saying it again. The UK is done. And then there's this sobering one. European Commissioner of Energy Kadri Simpson said that gas supplies from Russia to Europe are now half as much as last year and did not rule out that they would decrease even more in the future, reported by Bloomberg. I cannot understand that the EU and those clowns in Brussels cannot see that the writing is on the wall. They are in deep trouble. And then you get reports like this on Fox News. Germany acknowledges harsh reality that green policies are ineffective. It makes no difference to acknowledge it. The question is, what are they going to do about it? And they were the stupid ones that decommissioned their nuclear power stations. Nuclear energy, at this point in time, the cleanest and cheapest energy. Yes, it's got risks, but if the risks are managed, there is no risks. And then, I'm going to end this with this one. The fact that they're using coal as a base load power because their massive installs of wind and solar are not reliable, especially in high demand summers and winters. It's been a problem for years. The lack of Russian gas has exacerbated. I cannot understand why we are still tolerating organizations like NATO, like the EU, like the EC, like G7. This G7 table, look at the people at that table. Draghi's country is in deep trouble and his position is on the skids. Then you've got that clown from Canada. They've got massive problems in Canada and he is an idiot, but he sits there at the table. And then you've got that geriatric from the USA, Biden. That man is, what they are doing to him is actually abuse of elderly people. He must be retired and put into a home for the frail, where he can spend the rest of his days drinking his tea under a tree in the shadow and enjoy these last days on earth. He can't be sitting there dictating to the world. And then we've got Boris. He's also on borrowed time, and we all know that. And then you've got that Wonder Crazy. She's sitting there. She's totally clueless. How can you imagine that she can manage or have any positive input into a G7 meeting? What does she know? But the fact of the matter is, the G7 is at the end of its days. The world is moving on. What Putin is doing with BRICS, between him and China, they are setting up an alternative trading operation for the world in which countries can trade freely with one another and they can ignore, and not actually ignore, get out of the hold that the Western sanctions has on them. Because this collective West, there is almost no countries in the world that is not under some form of a sanction. And if they don't listen to this collective West, they will be bombed into obliteration, bombed into oblivion, and that must end. And I am very glad to see that Putin and his team is focused on creating a new world order in which the collective West will not have the dominance. And I cannot wait for that day.